We first told you in January that a year-long deep dive into Pearl's former police chief led to an investigation by the state auditor's office. Now, 3 on Your Side can confirm our findings have triggered another inquiry by Shad White's office. From our reporting in December, investigative reporter CJ Lemaster joins us with those new details. CJ?
Well, Courtney Ann, we're learning tonight just how quickly state investigators reacted to what we uncovered months ago. 2 public officials also working public jobs with Rankin County, in some cases at the same time. Just 2 weeks after our side hustle investigation aired, the state auditor's office began exercising its authority to obtain hundreds of pages of records pertaining to former Pearl Police Chief Dean Scott and former Richland Mayor Pat Sullivan. Now, 3 on Your Side has learned what the auditor's office is looking for after obtaining the letters they sent the City of Pearl, the City of Richland, and Rankin County. Our investigation originally found both men claimed to work shifts for Rankin County while at conferences on the Gulf Coast for their city jobs. And Sullivan in particular got paid at least $80,000 extra than he should have earned, for taking vacation time that records show didn't even exist. Now, WLBT's investigation aired on December 21st of last year. On January 5th, a special agent began requesting Sullivan's timesheets from Rankin County. Over the next week, the auditor's office would send 4 more requests to Pearl, Richland, and the county for information from Sullivan and Police Chief Dean Scott. Scott resigned as police chief January 18th. The final request from the auditor's office came February 2nd. Nearly everything they're asking for came directly from our investigation, including timesheets for Scott and Sullivan, their use of county property, their travel records from the cities where they worked, and much more. Pearl Mayor Jake Windham released a brief statement about the new information we've learned in this case, saying, quote, "The most we can say at this time is that we are aware of the state auditor's investigation and we continue to cooperate 100%. The City of Pearl will continue to support their investigation until this issue is resolved." What the auditor's office is asking for suggests they're looking into whether the men falsified their timesheet records at times. In other words, whether they committed time theft with your tax dollars. 3 on Your Side will continue to follow what, if any, legal implications come from these side hustles.